Ah, Panty and Stocking. So the plot thickens, or so I say. Watch as I attempt to draw Callie and Marie, but find myself redoing the line work over and over again because something's wrong that not even I remember what is wrong. But yeah, really? This part right here, the random scribblings of a crazy man as he tries to put together a picture that doesn't look rubbish? This is my favourite part. Just throwing out ideas and hitting the wall with your head until you find something that you're happy with. For me anyway. It's the most interesting and creative moments in any bit of art that anyone does. Scribbling out an idea is glorious. I really enjoy and find it fascinating to watch this process. And for some reason, out of all the YouTubers I follow that do speed sketching and speed arts like this, I find they don't really include this into their actual videos, like as if they're hiding their flawed sketches or something, and I think that's one of the more interesting things. Or maybe I'm just alone on that. But I want everyone to know, the whole world to know about my rough, gritty, terrible art and the beginning processes of it. Well, I say a whole world, I mean like the handful of people who didn't just give up and run away after my first initial animation. Anyway, this starting brainstorm of sketches and ideas is probably the most interesting part of character design. I mean, you shouldn't be scared to just scrap your entire piece and start again. Or, there's not really any rules. You can flip, rotate, resize, and just play around, really go anywhere you want with the initial sketching. Deleting things, redoing, and coming up with new ideas, and deciding you don't like the way that this one person's looking, and then re-looking back over it all once you finish the overall rough sketch, and then going in deeper detail. The background's very basic. It's just a mishmash of different things from the hub world in Splatoon. I've got a vending machine, I've got a signpost, I've got a little bit of a train station in the back there. It's nowhere specific in the hub world, it's just little pieces from everywhere. So as the image starts to actually evolve and appear, you can I hope you can see where I was coming at for showing the Panty and Stocking style in both my parody animation and in this piece of art. Both of them, you have this weirdly inconsistent thing going on. On Splatoon, the history and all the character art and artist albums and stuff like that all have really varying art styles, verging upon realistic and uncanny at times. And so does Panty and Stocking, to be honest. To a degree, they have areas where not just in the art but in the animation they just wildly vary in what kind of style they're actually producing, and that comes from it also being kind of a parody of Western animation. I didn't really get the time, but I would have loved to thrown in some stop motion into there as well to make it even more weird. And for the characters, they're both wonderfully disproportioned in very interesting ways. You've got these thick lower hands, and thick lower legs, and not really, the joints are nearly non-existent in certain parts, and it just utilizes this almost chibi-esque but not really style. But one thing that stays really consistent in Panty, Stocking and Gardevoir is the wonderful line work. And when I say wonderful line work, I mean it's just beautiful curves on straight angles, because that's the basis of all really good line work, is understanding thickness and curves on curves and straights. It's not as prevalent in Eastern stuff, but when it comes to Western animation, it's utilized almost religiously throughout almost every animated piece you'll see, where they have really simplistic straight lines meeting curves. With the Eastern stuff, it tends to be one way or the other. You've got your more robotic ones where it's very straight everywhere, or you've got other series where they just utilize curves only, and that's all they've got is consistently round and bobby objected creatures or people. And I like to think I held true to this in my animation style and in this piece of art here, but who knows, maybe I did a terrible job. Oof, why does Sans not have a shape tool? Perhaps the Lovecraftian squid gods can tell me. Alas, I must create my own anti-squares. But yeah, it's still, that's kind of annoying, the fact that it doesn't have any sort of shape tool to speak of. But you get around it. That's kind of, you have to get used to that when you do digital art. You have to work around programs and just kind of figure out things on the fly and adapt. As for the art style of the like animation of Panty and Stocking and in my short animation, like the only thing, it kind of flip-flops all the time. Like you've got either this almost cut out creatures going and showing just like really minor, like almost South Park style animation where it's just cutouts, but you've also got like the more consistent line work and smooth animations, and then most of the time it's working on twos, which I should have done. I regret that immediately, not working on twos, working on ones, you know, like as in frames. Like I hardly ever saw any period in which Panty and Stocking actually worked on more than twos. About the only thing that is a constant in Panty and Stockings is the line art. Everything else is all over the place and like really spastic. I mean, even the art style, the animation, the media, the materials, they're all everywhere. I love it. I'm a big fan of this mixed media stuff. You could say it keeps it all fresh. Sorry. Anywho, another thing that I try to keep in kind of open mind about is the fan art that came around for like Splatoon quite frequently. There's a wonderful array of strange and weird fan art everywhere on Splatoon. The most odd paint and squid predictions that you couldn't even imagine. I mean, like, and it verges on very like stupid teen and silly lewd fun at times, and that's another thing that I think Panty and Stocking reflects perfectly. And so it was almost a parody of not only Splatoon but its fandom as well that I was trying to get across. That, you know, it's the fandom's inconsistent as well. Like they'll have these strange art styles all the time that you wouldn't think would fit with Splatoon, but I think it fit really well at times. Splatoon itself has a very pop culture-esque attitude to everything in it, and it's a very Japanese pop culture-esque thing. I know Panty and Stocking doesn't have any of it has less of that, but you still see like Eastern things coming through all over Panty and Stocking, and I don't know. There was lots of things with both that I found very, very like similar, and I just thought the art styles melded pretty well. But I also wanted to throw in random things that didn't have any kind of like connection to Panty and Stocking, just to make sure it mixed up a lot, like different like Eastern pop culture references, just like the series tends to do. Oh yeah. Now working on the background here, again I just took bits and pieces from the hub world and just melded them together, like the wire and stuff like that, and the signs and some vending machines and background elements, and like there's like a subway train as well, like not a subway train, just a normal like speed DLR train thing just in the background, and I just kind of put one of the stand bits for that there as well. It's very interesting how much Eastern pop culture ended up in Splatoon when you first saw it, and you knew there was going to be a lot of that in it, but they went so far as to make these like two diva characters as well. And that's another comparison with Panty and Stocking that I think is really interesting, is that you have these two central characters that are just kind of like pugnacious divas, and they get up to all sorts and you don't even see it all. Like, not only are they like weird news announcers and like daily, they pretty much shaped their entire society just from having one breakaway song hit, which is just like, I guess it's a reflection of the idol culture in Japan, but I don't really get how like they're saying idols like rule Japan. I don't know, but it's all very like commercial based, and it's weird that they've got everything's just done by a very shallow mentality, and it's really enjoyable to see this stuff just embracing the shallowness of like, oh, you gotta look good, you gotta be cool, fresh. And I don't know where that came from. It's probably some kind of social satire, but who knows. But they've got like branding everywhere, and everyone only really cares about being fresh and being like with it and cool. And this is always a result of these two idols just kind of like taking over. And not only that, they're like, I guess spoiler, they're secret agent crime fighters as well. So like, they've also got this weird like magical girl thing going on. It's brilliant. Like, and that is where I was saying like the two characters just remind me of Panty and Stocking in almost like every way. That they do a little bit of everything, and they've both got this kind of like juxing mentalities to each other. You got this one that kind of always looks like she's got a sarky look on her face, and you got this other one that looks like she's always. I can't remember that term. There was probably a proper term for it. The Japanese anime character that's always like in your face and like bitchy, I guess. Yeah, there's probably a term for that. Oh, it's a tsundere or whatever it is. Don't expect me to say Japanese word good. Never mind. But yeah, I liked their juxtaposition of characters, and I thought it was very interesting that they had so much in common with Panty and Stocking, and I wanted to reflect that in the animation with like the weird kind of mishmashy art style and the Squid Sisters bringing colour to the world, along with this shallow, carefree lewdness. Anyway, we're going down to colouring now. You may ask, why is my colouring? I don't always use the bucket tool just to fill in areas. I don't know, sometimes I just don't. You'll find with me that sometimes I don't do things in the logical way, sometimes I do things in the stupider way. Most of the times I do the thing in the stupid way, and that's the way I do art, sorry. Like for example, why did I make a colour palette here? Why do I just keep like using the ink tool to like take colour from the reference material? Nah, I don't know, that's just the way I work. It's like here, I'm probably not being that efficient with the shading either, because I'm just kind of shading it as I go. I know generally where I wanted the light source to be, so it's not a big deal that you just kind of add shades as you go along, but I'm pretty sure there's areas that I do decide I do want to change anyway. This just keep it consistent with the lighting, but again, like when I was doing the line work, I had already kind of decided I wanted like an above, over the shoulder kind of light from that angle, and that's reflected in all the thickening of the lines and whatnot, because that's something you do is you make sure that where you want deep shadows, you often have the thicker lines being in that area, and the shading kind of reflects that. But again, this isn't like a big set in stone rule. I often like shift and change the way I do line work. I'm like that. I hardly ever keep to a consistent art style. I don't really have an art style per se, or at least I don't think I do. I kind of just like absorb whatever I'm looking at or really interested in at the time, and then that starts filtering into my own art style. And like I think it changes every time I come back to do a project. I think I adopt a little bit more. At times it's a bit of a detriment when you could just so easily kind of manipulated by whatever you're working on, but some people say I've got some sort of art style, but I don't know. I've never been satisfied with what I would call my style, so I just kind of keep ever changing.
You might even say I'm a bad artist because I'm so flippant.
But that's neither here or there. Oh, I love scribbling. The random little scribbles under my pictures all the time. I'll stick random scribbles everywhere when I'm doing art. No one can stop me. Can't tell me what to do. I can scribble art anywhere I want. No one will ever understand my requited love for scribbling. And nor should they. Oh shit, I needed that. Oh well. Oh, and finally we move on to the last touch-ups and tweaks in Photoshop, because that's when I do all my tweaking, because I just find the filtering tools much better over there. And partake in the age-old routine of just shoving things on top to make things look better. Putting like logos and stencils everywhere, and then doing layers on top which makes the overall colour match with like just a somewhat of a base colour. Yes, very important. Just put things on top, make it looks better. That is how art works. Just keep putting things on top until it looks good. Well then, thanks for your review, and keep sticky or whatever the thing the kids are doing nowadays is. I'll just let myself out.